Hi class, in this video we are going to add structure to our deck and to our porch. So if you take a look at your drawings, specifically your building section, we need to add in two 2x8 beams that sit on top of this 4x4 post for the deck. And then we have another 2x8 header up here, and then we run our 2x8 floor joists. And then we also have our 2x8 ledger. So we're going to work on creating those items for the deck first. Okay, so first if you take a look at this 4x4 post, you're going to notice that it's a lot shorter than this post right here because it has to have the two 2x8 beams on top. So we're going to need to bring our posts down a little bit in order to make those beams. So on my drawing, I have, if you take a look at your elevations, my beams are currently running to top of foundation. That's actually a little bit too high right now. Where I would like them to stop is top of pier. So I'm going to click on these and I'm just going to select them in this row, and then I'm going to change the top level to be top of pier. This one I'm just going to leave alone for right now, as well as this one. So I've just wanted to change the ones in the front. So again, if you go back to your 3D view, I changed all of these right here to be top of pier. And again, just make sure that your datum lines match mine, or this might not work out the same for you. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is to draw our beams on top of those piers. So we're going to go to our foundation plan, and we are going to select structure and beam. Our beams are 2x8 beams, so we're going to have to create those. So click on 2x10, hit edit type, duplicate, type in 2x8, say OK, and then it will be 1.5 inches by 7.25 inches. And we'll say OK. Now to draw the beam system, make sure that your placement plane is correct. So right now mine is trying to attach to top of foundation. That wouldn't be correct. It'd be top of pier, because that's where I just raised my posts to the top of pier. So make sure this says top of pier, make sure this is to top of pier. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to sketch across this our beam. And then as always, I'm going to look at it in 3D. So here's my beam in 3D. And what you're going to notice is that the top of the beam is connected to the datum line top of pier. But I need this beam to sit on top of these posts. So what I do to change that is I use the start level and end level offset. So the size of this beam right here is a 2x8, so it's 7.25 inches in this direction. So my start level offset should be 7.25 inches, and then the end level should also be 7.25 inches. And now you'll see that it sits on top of those posts. Go back to the foundation plan, and according to our section, these are doubled. So we have two 2x8 beams. So now I'm going to use the copy tool. I'm going to say copy. I'm going to click on an endpoint, and then I'm going to click on another endpoint. Then the next thing I'm going to do is select both of them, click in the middle, and then I want to select the midpoint of my post, if I can find it here. Yep. Alright, now you just want to make sure that your posts run all the way across to the end. Oops. And then again, look at it in 3D. So now I have my two beams that are running across my 4x4 posts. Okay, so if you take a look again at your section, that's what we just drew right there. Now we have to draw one more beam above and the ledger. So if we go back to our foundation plan, what I'm going to do is I am going to just copy one of these beams over to the side. So I'm going to use the copy tool and just copy it over here. Alright, and then I just want to show you in 3D, the beam is in the same plane. I need it to sit on top of this other beam. So what I have to do is I need to raise it 7 1/4 inches more. So I need to type in 14.5 inches here and then 14.5 inches here. And that will place it above the two beams. So we'll go back to the foundation plan and I'll move this beam, move so that it overlaps this beam right here. And then look at it in 3D and it should look like that. Excuse me. Now you're going to also copy this to the wall to make our ledger board. So we'll go back to the foundation plan, click on that beam that we had. Make sure you have the right one. It should have the start level and end level offset of 14.5 inches. Copy it, select an endpoint, copy it straight back until you hit the wall, and then click. And then look at that in 3D. And you'll notice that my post, is going up through my beam. I'll need to change the height of this post in just a minute, but I'll do that after. Okay, so now we can just continue to create our floor joist system that runs between this header and the ledger board. So we'll go back to the foundation. We're going to zoom in on this area. We'll go to structure and we're going to create a beam system. Our joists are 2x8 floor joists. So we select 2x8 and they are 16 inches on centers. This is okay. We're going to sketch the beam system using the rectangle tool. Make sure that you select the face of the ledger board and then also the face of the header right here. Make sure that your beam system is running horizontally. So you should see these two lines right here. If it's not, change the beam direction and click on this line. And that'll set it. Hit the green check mark. You could delete the 2x8 labels. If you want to leave one of them, that's okay. You will have to label them later on with a leader line. Let's look at it in 3D. Okay, so now what you're going to see is they're set too high up. So in order to select my whole beam system, I get kind of close to my beams, and then these blue dashed lines show up, like right here, that you see in the image. I'm going to click, and you can see that it's selecting the whole beam system. Right now the elevation is set of a work plane of top of pier, but it's 1 foot 8 inches higher than that work plane. I'm going to put that to 0 and just see what that looks like. So 0 is too low. But what it helps me do is to reference now how far up I need to raise these joists. So if it's setting at top of pier, I need to raise it up 7 1/4 inches and then another 7 1/4 inches. So I need to raise it up 14.5 inches to be in line with this header right here. Now I need to cap off the ends of this deck system. So go back to the foundation plan, and what you could do is you can actually use one of the joists from the system we created, click on it, unpin it, use the copy tool to select an endpoint, and then select the endpoint right there. Do the same thing on the other side, click on the joist, unpin it, copy it, select an endpoint, and then an endpoint. And then we'll look at that in 3D, and our system is looking pretty good. Okay, so now the one problem that we have is that our posts are going through our joists. So I am in the south elevation. Make sure that your detail level is set to fine or you won't be able to see all the detail of your drawing. So you can see that my post, my 4x4 post, is running right now through my joist. So I need to measure how far past the joist is this beam running. So I'm going to use my measure tool right here, and I'm just going to measure from this point to this point, and I have 1 1/4 inches. So I'm going to click on this post, and I'm going to tell it for the top offset to be negative 1 1/4 inches. And that will push it down so that it's now underneath the joist. I'm going to do the same thing over here. So I want it to be negative 1 1/4 inches, and then apply. And then of course you have to do that on your other side as well. So go to the north elevation, set the detail level to fine, and do the same thing with both of these posts. Change it so their top offset is negative 1 and 1/4 inches, and then hit apply. All right, now if we look at it in 3D, it looks perfect, exactly like our drawing. Now we're going to do the same thing for the porch. So what I'm going to do first is I am going to adjust some of the heights of my posts to match the heights over here. So these ones I'm going to leave alone for now because I don't know what's going to happen with them. But the ones in the middle I want to set to be the same height as these on the end. So I'm going to click on it and I have it set to top of pier. So I'll click on this post and change it to top of pier. Now I'm going to go back to my foundation plan. Instead of recreating all of this stuff, I'm just going to copy and paste some of these elements. So I'm going to click on this 2x8 dimensional lumber. I'm going to hit copy, select an endpoint, and then I'm going to pull it over here to this side of my drawing, click, and I have to rotate it. So I'm going to click back on the dimensional lumber, click rotate. So I'm going to point my arrow straight up. Whoops, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time. And then I want it to go 90 degrees. And then I'm going to move that down so that it's placed across these two posts. I'm going to copy it. So that I have a beam next to a beam. Okay, and then I'm going to click on both of these and I'm going to move them so that their center is aligned with the post center. And then finally I'm going to shorten them so that they stop at the end of this post right here. Okay, and then I'll look at it in 3D. So now that's much easier. I don't need to change the heights because I'm just copying it from this other side. So now I'm going to make the ledger board back here for my porch. Again, I'm just going to click on this. I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it so that it's up against the wall. I put it too far up against the wall, sorry. That's the wall, there we go. And then we're going to look at it in 3D, and I have my board up against the wall. And I probably need to change the height of these two posts also to be top of pier. Very good. Go back to the foundation plan, and we have to place a header joist above these two beams. So we're going to just copy one of them out to the side, remember? And then we're going to change them so that they are 14.5 inches above top of pier. So they have to go 14.5 inches as the start level offset and 14.5 inches on the end level offset, and hit apply. And then we're going to move that so that it sits back on top of those two beams we created, and then it looks like this when we take a look at it in our plan view, or I'm sorry, 3D view. What I realized was I just made a mistake. I don't need this ledger board right now. I'm going to delete that. I need to copy this one over to be the ledger board. So now click on the header you just made, and then make sure that you are on the correct one, the one that says 14.5 inches, and copy that back so that it's on the concrete wall. There we go. And now your ledger board is correct. Okay, and then we'll go back to our foundation plan and we're going to build our floor joists. So you're going to do the same thing, beam system. It's going to be a 2x8. You're going to sketch it with the rectangle tool. You're going to go from the face of the ledger board to the face of your header. Make sure that your beam system is running the correct direction. This is not it. So I'm going to go beam direction, click on this vertical line right here. And then I am going to hit the green check mark. And then I'm going to take a look at it in 3D. I need to select the beam system and move it 14.5 inches. Hit apply, and then it aligns the beam system correctly. Then back in my foundation plan, I'm going to unpin one of my joists, and I'm going to copy it over so that it connects to the end of the beam system, and then I'm going to repeat that on the other side, unpin, and then copy this over so that it connects to the end of my beam system. And now I'm going to look over here, and I'm just going to check this. It's at top of foundation, -1¼ inches, so I'm going to click on this post and change them to top of foundation, excuse me, -1 and